In 1904, the world was mesmerized by Hans, a horse who could seemingly solve complex mathematical problems and read the minds of his captivated audience. Hans would tap his hoof to answer questions, convincing everyone that animals possessed human-like intelligence. But the truth was far more subtle and revealing. A skeptical psychologist, Oscar Funkst, decided to investigate, suspecting that there was a logical explanation behind this miraculous display of equine mathematical skill. He discovered that Hans wasn't calculating. He was simply reading the subtle, unconscious body language of the person asking the questions and reacting accordingly. Just like Hans, we often don't believe in the objective truth. We merely interpret the signals that confirm what we already want to see. When the questioner was hidden behind a curtain, the horse's magical abilities vanished, proving that our perceptions are often shaped by external, invisible cues. This reveals a fundamental crack in the human psyche, a tendency to embrace illusions that make us feel secure rather than facing cold reality. Welcome to the maze of self-deception, where we explore the psychological forces that lead us to choose comforting lies over the difficult, honest truth. Leon Festinger identified a phenomenon called cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort we feel when our beliefs are directly contradicted by new, undeniable evidence. Imagine holding two conflicting ideas in your mind simultaneously. The resulting tension creates a psychological itch that your brain is desperate to scratch away. To resolve this internal war, the brain often takes the path of least resistance, twisting facts to protect your ego and maintain internal harmony. Consider a smoker who knows cigarettes cause cancer. The dissonance between their habit and health knowledge creates a painful state of mental inconsistency. Instead of quitting, they might tell themselves that smoking reduces stress, effectively bending the reality to fit their current lifestyle and comfort levels. Our minds act like a weighted scale, constantly trying to balance our self-image with our actions, even if it requires significant mental gymnastics to achieve. Festinger's 1957 theory suggests that we are not rational animals, but rather rationalizing ones, constantly making up excuses for our illogical and contradictory behaviors. This internal friction is uncomfortable, so we build mental walls to shield ourselves from any information that might threaten our established worldview or beliefs. The more we invest in a lie, the harder our brain works to defend it, creating a cycle of self-justification that becomes increasingly difficult to break. We see the world not as it is, but as we are, often distorting the landscape of reality to ensure our personal comfort remains undisturbed. Why do we lock ourselves in this maze? One reason is confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out information that supports our existing opinions only. We scroll through feeds that echo our thoughts and ignore anything that challenges us, creating a digital bubble that reinforces our most stubborn personal biases. By discarding opposing views, we stop learning and start stagnating, surrounding ourselves with a chorus of voices that only tell us what we want. Then there is the halo effect, where we let one positive trait, like physical beauty, trick us into assuming someone is also intelligent or kind. We judge a book by its cover and a person by their smile, creating a false reality based on superficial signals and shallow, immediate mental shortcuts. This bias clouds our judgment, leading us to trust those who may not deserve it simply because they fit our internal image of what success looks like. The sunk cost fallacy is another trap, forcing us to continue a failing endeavor just because we have already invested time, money, or emotional energy. We eat the spoiled meal because we paid for it, and stay in toxic relationships because we don't want to admit the years were wasted. We are terrified of letting go of our mistakes, fearing that admitting failure is worse than continuing to suffer in a situation that no longer serves. These three walls, confirmation bias, the halo effect, and sunk cost, create a prison of the mind that keeps us trapped in a cycle of error. We build these barriers ourselves, brick by brick, until we are completely isolated from the truth and unable to see the world as it truly is. The maze grows deeper as we refuse to acknowledge its existence, turning our backs on the light of reason to stay in the shadows of safety. Self-deception creates a fake safety zone, a psychological glass bubble that protects us from the harsh storms of reality and the pain of personal growth. Inside, we feel warm and secure, but the walls are fragile and the air is stale, offering only a temporary reprieve from the inevitable truth outside. We wear masks of happiness to hide our underlying fears, pretending that everything is perfect while the foundation of our lives slowly begins to crumble away. The storm of reality eventually hits, and no matter how thick we build our mental walls, they cannot withstand the pressure of the objective world. When the bubble finally shatters, the shock is devastating, leaving us exposed and vulnerable to the very things we tried so desperately to avoid facing. We often mistake comfort for progress, standing still while the world moves forward, trapped in a timeless void of our own making and personal refusal. Trudging through the sand of our own illusions, we find ourselves exhausted but going nowhere, while the opportunity for real change slips through our fingers. Growth is found on the path of most resistance, a narrow road filled with the thorns of truth that require courage and persistence to navigate successfully. We cannot grow in the shade of a lie. We need the harsh sunlight of reality to burn away our pretenses and reveal our true potential. Standing at the edge of honesty, we must decide if we want to live in a comfortable dream or wake up to a challenging, beautiful life. To escape the maze, we must start with radical self-inquiry, using the 5 whys method to dig down to the core roots of our personal motivations. By asking why repeatedly, we peel back the layers of our excuses, eventually reaching the crystalline truth that lies beneath our superficial justifications and fears. Intellectual humility is the key. It is the realization that we don't know everything, and that our current beliefs might be fundamentally wrong or incomplete. Open your mind to the possibility of being mistaken, and seek out the perspectives of those who see the world differently than you do every day. When you feel the sting of a challenging truth, lean into it, for that discomfort is the sensation of your mind expanding and your wisdom growing. Carry the flashlight of awareness into the dark corners of your psyche, illuminating the mirrors of bias and seeing through the fog of your illusions. Each step forward is an act of bravery, a commitment to seeing the world clearly and acting with integrity, even when it feels difficult or scary. Embracing the words, "I was wrong," is not a sign of weakness, but a badge of honor that shows you value truth more than your ego. As you climb above your own self-deception, the air becomes clearer, and you begin to see a vast horizon of possibilities you never knew existed before. Real strength is found in the ability to stand firm in reality, growing like a flower in the cracks of the difficult, honest earth we inhabit. The journey from the clever horse to the conscious human is one of awakening, leaving behind the circus of illusions for a life of purpose. The truth may hurt for a moment, but living in a lie will cause you to wither away slowly. Choose the pain that leads to real life. Thank you for exploring the depths of the human mind with us today. Be brave enough to be honest with yourself and start your journey.